All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you all know I love to keep the platform about mental health. Today, we're going to take a different approach. We're going to talk about faith and mental health. Joining me today, all the way up, north, little neighborly here, from the lovely state of Michigan. Please put your hands together for Deandra Bolden. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your show today.
You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. And well, as I opened with earlier, basically we're talking about faith and mental health, how faith can play a role in mental health. You yourself are the founder and director of Faith Plus Mental Health. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second and what it is that your organization does. But I will open with the question of why is faith important in mental health?
Faith is important in mental health because a lot of people, regardless of their walk in life, a lot of people have faith in something. And so there is research and there are studies that show that people that, whether they're attending services or whether they are part of a faith-based community, those people tend to do better when it comes to their mental health. And so there is a lot of research and a lot of studies and stuff out there. And so, people that have that, it gives it's another layer to the person and the human experience. And for a lot of people, it helps them to be able to cope and to deal with the various ups and downs of life.
Okay. Now I do find that interesting, when you open with, people do have faith in something, whether it's, something different than what I believe in or what have you. People do have faith in something. So when they have that faith, they lean on what they know to, in the lack of a better word, in the lack of a better word, cope with whatever emotion or trial that they're, dealing with at that time in their lives. Okay, all right. I like that. Okay. So let me ask, there's a lot of stigmas about mental health, especially in the African American community. As much as mental health is being talked about on every single platform, you see it everywhere. You see it on TV or what have you. I mean, it has become more mainstream almost in a sense, but not mainstream in a negative connotation, but it's more talked about now. Let me ask, how can a faith-based approach help debunk those stigmas about mental health?
Well, a lot of people are a part of some type of faith community. For me, I am a Christian. That means I'm a follower in Jesus Christ. And so when I say faith and I say faith community, I keep it a little broader because what I don't want to turn this into is a religious debate. That's not the point. The point is to talk about mental health. And so a lot of people are a part of a faith-based community. And because it is proven and statistics have shown that when people have a mental health crisis, they are more prone to go to a pastor or a clergy person. So it's imperative that the church is equipped to be able to deal with mental health crises, know where to refer people, have resources and things in place. It's also beneficial when churches are trauma informed, so they know how to handle people that may be fragile or may be people that have dealt with a lot of trauma in their life, be able to recognize signs and symptoms that a person may be in distress or may need help as far as their mental health. Because just like you said, we're hearing about mental health, we're seeing it on all these platforms, but the issue is mental health is being treated like a lot of buzzwords. A lot of buzzwords, more buzzwords and more, posts and memes than people actually getting help, because a lot of times people don't know where to go. A lot of people are afraid to go. That's a whole nother conversation. I've had quite a few single mothers reach out to me and say, I know I need help. I know something is wrong, but I'm afraid if I go to a therapist, I'm going to lose my children. So you have a lot of single mothers that are struggling to raise their children, that are struggling with anxiety, depression, and all type of other things going on, but they're afraid to get help because they're afraid that whether it's because of something, a lot of times in our communities, a lot of information passed down is like the telephone game. By the time it gets to people, it then took 15 turns. And so you have people, and this has happened to me more than once. And so this has happened to me multiple times where people are saying they're afraid to get help because they don't want to lose their children. And so it's important that the church is a safe place and a safe space, or faith-based community or a safe place and a safe space, so that when people are hurting, even if those faith-based communities are not equipped and licensed and certified to handle people, they still know what to do and they know where to tell them to go.
Okay, so that last part of what you just said right there is very key, because a lot of churches are not equipped. A lot of them are not certified, but flip side of that, even if you don't have all that, as you just said, if you can provide resources for people to, get the help that they need, just be the, bridge between, the person who needs help and the place where they can go to get the help. Yep. That's all. That's all, Sometimes that's all a person or a place needs to be. You don't have to be the, one-stop shop, come here and get everything you need, right. I'm going to fix it for you. Just be the bridge. Okay. Right. Point A, point B. Okay. You got to go through me to get there. All right. Right. So, but no, very, 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 very interesting, that point about, not having the resources. I mean, not having the certifications, but having those resources. So, okay, all right. I see you there, Ms. Bolden. You on something there. All right. But let's talk a little bit about, Faith Plus Mental Health, your organization. Can you, talk to us about that, and what was the driving force behind that as well?
So Faith and Mental Health is my organization that I've been doing the work of it for a while, but really pushing it and putting everything together as an organization probably the last few years. The driving force behind it is I do the Faith and Mental Health podcast. I also host the Faith and Mental Health Summit annually. This year we're doing May 4th through 6th. And so it's going to be 3 days virtual. One day we will be live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so the driving force is to deal with the stigma, help equip the church, and also help those that are outside of the church understand the integrated faith-based lens. Because you can't dismiss a person's faith and then say, okay, come to me for help. And so it's important that other people realize, even if they're not a person of faith or if they're not a believer, you still have to acknowledge and respect someone else's beliefs. And so it is kind of a two-way thing. I call it where two worlds collide. And so, for me, I love science. My background is I worked as a chemist for years. I have a master's in medical sciences. I studied biological sciences and all that. And so I understand both worlds. And so I think it's imperative to dismiss some of definitely debunk some of the things that could be hindering people in the faith-based community. I've had people say that they were embarrassed to get therapy because of, how they would look to people within their faith-based community. I've had people say that, wherever the community of believers they belong to don't believe in people getting therapy. And so trying to deal with both sides, the scientific side and the clinical side has to understand the importance and the role faith plays in people's life. And then those that are of faith have to understand that, hey, there's real professional help available. Because one thing about it, when it comes to mental health, whenever you talk about mental health, I start hearing a lot of, well, I feel, I think, And it's like, this is a real science. People are diagnosed with mental health disorders based off of the criteria that's in the DSM-5, or the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. And so people have to understand, they're not just pulling this stuff out of the top of their head, but mental health is one of those areas where people think it's more about what they think and what they feel versus what's proven. And so in the faith-based community, there's a lot of beliefs about, what causes mental health issues and what is mental health issues, instead of understanding that there's people out here that are qualified professionals. And, a lot of these people are very good at what they do. And does that mean, just like, I'll say it like this. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't argue with a medical doctor about diabetes or heart failure. You would assume so same thing with mental health professionals. We have to respect who they are, what they've done, their academia, their experience, all that stuff. We have to respect that and realize that it's not up for debate, or it's not up for us to kind of guess and kind of put our own spin to it. And so, the same way, we've all seen somebody that may have got a bad, health diagnosis or a bad prognosis. Mm-hmm. The same compassion we give them is the same compassion we have to give people when they're struggling in their mental health. A lot of times people think you can talk people out of it, or if you just snap their fingers, they're going to come out of it, instead of realizing that these people need professional services. So I want to get rid of a lot of the stigma, a lot of the myths, a lot of the misconceptions. And so we're going to address all of these things in a very practical way that can be beneficial to two worlds as we come together. And so I have a master's in counseling and, stuff like that. I didn't say that. I forgot to say that. So I did.
Go ahead, pat yourself on the back. Come on.
No. So I'm very passionate about mental health. I think it's so important. You can't do anything at your best if you're not your best. And so mental health is so important. It's important that you take care of you in every aspect of that. And so, I'll leave it at that.
No, hey, look here. Look, man, I love it. Look here. We having church, y'all, okay? Y'all gonna get this gospel today, because it is seriously, it is for you all, and it's like I said before, debunking the myth, and pretty much as you said, if we were to go to the doctor and the doctor tells us, well, hey, such and such, you have, COVID, or you have diabetes, or, you have gout, you have this, you have that, you're going to take it for what it is. All right. Because it's like, oh, well, this is the doctor knows what it is that they're talking about. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, there's doctors of mental health too. Yeah. I'm just saying, not all of them are doctors, but there are doctors in mental health as well. But there are clinicians, there are people out here that are experts that can help you. And, it's funny, that you say that, hey, we'll go out here and believe this, but when it comes to like our mental health and stuff, we sort of pull back. And especially like, man, let's just keep it real. In our community, and I can think of times, just growing up, there were people who were really having mental episodes. Yeah. But they were labeled, stay away from them. They crazy.
It's just crazy. Or people laugh at them, make videos of them. And it just is, it's really sad. But it was something you said, I did want to qualify that there are different types of mental health professionals. And two that are confused a lot are psychiatrists and psychologists. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. That means they have gone to medical school, they've completed a residency, and they are board certified. That means they are able to treat the symptoms of mental health disorders and they can choose to use medication as an option. I believe there's only 5 states, I believe Illinois is one of them, that allow psychologists also to prescribe medication, but a psychologist is not a medical doctor. A psychologist is someone typically that has a PhD or a PsyD, and they have completed a dissertation, and they are an expert in that area, and they've done a lot of research. And so they are more on the lines of treating mental health by doing different forms of talk therapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, positive therapy. There's a lot of different approaches and ways that they may go about that, and they have other treatment options as well. But like I said, I believe it's 5 states now that allow people with a PhD or a PsyD to do a postdoctorate master's, so that they can prescribe medication under the authority of a doctor. Wow. So yeah, so we're at 5 states. I believe when I did my undergrad years ago, it was only 2 states, but I looked it up recently and I believe it's 5 now. And I believe Illinois is one of those states. And so, yeah, so, then you have, your regular psychotherapist, your clinical therapist, you have licensed social workers, substance abuse counselors, certified counselors. I don't know if it's every state, but I do know most states, pastors are allowed to counsel dealing with spiritual matters. They don't have to be licensed or anything like that. So your pastor is able to counsel you about spiritual matters. But if a person is dealing with full-blown, psychosis or something like that, they have to go to a licensed professional.
And thank you for dropping that knowledge, and ladies and gentlemen, informative content. I said it before. All right, look here. Where else are you going to get this, ladies and gentlemen? Where else are you going to get this? I'm just saying, mic drop. Anyway, but no. Thank you for sharing that. And for those of us that are in a church, and you just said it before, hey, you know what, my culture or my religion or this doesn't allow me to practice or go see a therapist or
right.
What have you. Can you just talk a little bit about ethics versus morals, especially like when we're talking about like faith-based approaches or what have you? Because as you said, hey, you know what? My, faith or whatever doesn't allow me to do this versus, man, I don't really want to go over here and talk to this person because I just don't want them in my business. I think we really have to really break that fine line down, just as you broke down, hey, a psychologist and a psychiatrist, okay? One prescribes the medication, the other you can just talk to, and you all will come up with, some form of treatment, talking and trying to work, things out or what have you. So can you just talk a little bit about that when it comes to faith-based approaches like ethics versus morals?
So morals are typically your personal convictions that will line up with your faith. Like I said, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. I'm not going to go and sell drugs. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. That to me is morally corrupt. It's also illegal. I don't want to go to jail. Ethics are, especially in the world of counseling, those are professional guidelines that you adhere to from a professional perspective to make sure that, number one, you're doing your client or your patient no harm. And so when it comes to morals and ethics and taking a faith-based perspective to mental health, having a faith-based perspective in mental health simply just means that your faith is acknowledged during, if you're talking about a clinical setting, there are therapists that will take an integrative approach, and they will integrate your faith into your treatment as you're going through therapy. So they may include scriptures, they may include prayer, they may include biblical affirmations and different things like that. And so the main thing as far as ethics, obviously, is about, the preservation and basically a person should leave better than they came. And if a person is in a situation where they're told, that they're not supposed to go to therapy, but they know they need help, we're all free moral agents. A person has to make that decision on their own. Whether it's, they feel, they were told it was wrong, whether they just feel like they don't want anybody in their business. One thing people have to realize, a real certified license, this is the difference between just blabbing at people versus going to a professional. They are bound by HIPAA and privacy guidelines. And if they go and just tell your business to random people, you can report them so they can lose their license and their livelihood. It is a real profession where they are not to be going around, you know, sharing things that are said. Now, there's a duty to warn, you know, if a person is, you know, homicidal or, you know, suicidal or something like that, there are instances where they can break the silence to ensure that no one is harmed. But for the most part, those, and sometimes even court proceedings and stuff can come into play where clinicians would have to, you know, turn over their notes and stuff like that. We've seen that play out in courts before. But for the most part, they are bound by the HIPAA and privacy guidelines, where they can't be out here telling folks business. They can't be recording you and then making Facebook reels out of it. That's not how that works. You can report them to the board and they will lose their license. That's why it's important to go to professionals, because a real licensed professional doesn't want to lose their license. You know, they're going to, you know, be professional. They're going to do things right.
Informative content, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right. Listen, I mean, I didn't say it. Listen to the professional over here. Okay. I mean, look, seriously. And the reason why I bring that up is, you know, we do have a lot of people out here that are being misinformed. And pretty much as to what you just said, you know, there are people out here who are just spewing their mouths and not really out to, you know, help. They're not following the HIPAA and FERPA, you know, laws or what have you, you know, things, you know, these are, you know, laws that you need to follow if you're practicing, you know, these types of sciences or what have you. So I just wanted to, you know, bring that up because a lot of people really, you know, confuse the two, you know, or really don't understand, hey, you know, there's a such thing as ethics and there's a such thing as morals. And sometimes we cross them up. And thank you for breaking that down. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Okay. But if people, you know, want to get in contact with you, if they, you know, want to learn more about faith plus mental health, how can they do so? Social media, websites, what have you?
They can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm halfway on TikTok. I don't really, so I think that's more for, I don't know. I'll try it again maybe later. I don't really have a lot of time for social media. I'm busy a lot and it's too time consuming for me, but I'm going to work on it. But I'm on Instagram and Facebook at DeAndrea Bolden. The website is www.faithandmentalhealth.net. That's www.faithandmentalhealth.net. Feel free to reach out. And that's it. So yeah, so the Faith and Mental Health Summit is coming up May 4th through 6th. The virtual portion is 100% free. Sign up. I believe we have over 30 speakers. I have multiple medical doctors. I have nurse practitioners. I have brain neuro coaches. I have therapists, psychologists. I have a really, really dynamic lineup this year. I really think we have some really, really good speakers. So if you're not doing anything, get signed up for that. The link is on the website. And again, that's www.faithandmentalhealth.net. Thank you.
There it is, y'all. Okay. .net. All right. .net. All right. I know y'all out here, .net. All right. Faithandmentalhealth.net. Okay. There it is. All right. So I've come to the last question, the question that my show is known for. And man, look here. You've been dropping gems, okay? From the moment we didn't press record up until now. But I would love to hear, you know, your words, you know, for, and pretty much your answer to my next question. So here it is. Miss DeAndrea Bolden, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Just maybe unique.
Okay.
I think a lot of times I'm different. Especially it's funny, like people that interact with me on social media, when they meet me in person, they was like, wow, I didn't think your personality is like that, because on social media, I come off as, it's nothing negative. It's just in person, I'm an introvert. So I'm very quiet. I just kind of sit around and observe. I don't really, stay a lot till I, get comfortable in the setting. And so, yeah, different. Yeah, I'll just say different. I'm me. I'm unique.
Look here. So pretty much like myself, I like to call it the satellite effect. You know how a satellite just sits there? Man, it just collects information.
Right.
It does nothing but sit. Man, all it does is, come on, and then man, you know what? If I need to go this way with it, or that way with it, or that way with it, fine. I'm not out here running my mouth. I'm not out here doing this and the other. I'm just sitting here collecting information. So as soon as I heard you say that, that's where my mind went. So, okay. Unique / satellite. All right. Because, man, you got the information, y'all. And when look here, she just dropped these gems for us. All right. So, man, check it out, y'all. www.faithandmentalhealth.net, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. All right. Support. All right. On that note, man, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me, all social media platforms, Word with Ty Brownlow. Or you could just go to my website, tybrownlow.com, get this wonderful conversation, plus other great conversations as well. Miss DeAndrea Bolden, we out. Peace.